It's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Wednesday evening that finds us right in the heart of Jaguar minicamp. I was down at the Miller Electric Center earlier today. I know a lot of you were down at the Miller Electric Center earlier today. We'll talk about that. We got Game 3 of the NBA Finals tipping off in about 35, 40 minutes or so. Thunder and the Pacers. It's now in Indianapolis. Series tied at a game apiece, so we will certainly talk about that as well. We got NFC North previews to conclude tonight. My last show of the week. So we've already been to Detroit. We've already been to Green Bay. Tonight we will round out the division. Again, one division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. We will go to Minneapolis tonight, and we will go to Chicago tonight to put the finishing touches on our preview of the NFC North. There is a ton to do. We are glad you are with us on a Wednesday evening here on Hacker After Dark. Guest lineup looks like this. Wyatt Milum, the third-round pick from West Virginia, the offensive lineman. He was the Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year in 2024. The Jaguars traded up into round 3 of the draft to take Milum out of West Virginia. Really enjoyed the conversation with him. In fact, we're going to air that for you coming up in this first segment. About 5 minutes or so from right now, you'll hear from Wyatt Milum. We'll also give you a Hacker After Dark replay later on in the 9 o'clock hour. If you missed my conversation with Fred Johnson, former Florida Gator, he won a Super Bowl ring with Philadelphia last year. He's competing on the Jaguar offensive line as well. We will bring you that conversation later on. Also, Zach Hanshu of Roto World covering the NBA. We'll have Zach on leading up to tip-off tonight between Indiana and Oklahoma City. We'll talk finals. We'll also talk a little NBA draft rumors. And we'll talk Kevin Durant, Karl Anthony Towns, some of the big names that potentially could be on the move in the coming weeks in the association. So we are absolutely jam-packed. We are with you till 10 o'clock. And as always, Jacksonville, we are very thankful that you've decided to spend part of your Wednesday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
The big deal tonight is you, the Jacksonville Jaguar fans here in Northeast Florida. Unbelievable turnout this morning at the Miller Electric Center. For a Wednesday morning, I got down there about 8 a.m. on June 11th. There were thousands of people there. I know the Miller Electric Center, I believe, holds 2,500 in the grandstand. There wasn't any place to sit. Every place was full. I was told that almost double that wanted to go. 2,500 got in because that's all the Miller Electric Center can hold there in the grandstand. Incredible turnout by Jaguar fans. And I've said this for many, many years. You guys get such a horrific rap nationally, and I think it's lazy reporting from people. I think it's people that don't have a clue of what they're talking about when they talk about the lack of fan support in Jacksonville, or if they still bring up tarps or relocation. That's just lazy people that don't know what they're talking about. That's the narrative about Jacksonville, and they either don't care or don't want to educate themselves on the Jaguars and the Jaguar fans. And I have very little respect for those people that are some of my colleagues in the radio and television industry nationally. I have very little respect for people that don't want to educate themselves on a given topic. Jacksonville Jaguar fans, you are fantastic. I've said for many years, be the worst team in football for 13 seasons, which is what the Jaguars have been. Win-loss-wise, the Jaguars have been the worst team in football dating back to the start of 2012. And I don't care what city you're in. Green Bay, Pittsburgh, New York, Chicago, Miami, Kansas City. Have those fans go what you guys have gone through for almost a decade and a half, and we'll see how full those stadiums are. You know, it's easy to go to Arrowhead when Patrick Mahomes is killing people. It's easy to go to Arrowhead when Travis Kelce's doing his thing and Andy Reid's doing his thing and they're winning Super Bowls. It's really easy to go to Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers was ruling the world there for many, many years. It's easy to support New England and Tom Brady when they're winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. What about the fans that have to deal with losing season after losing season after losing season? That's what you guys have had to deal with for a long, long time. And despite that, your passion has been there. Your anger has been there, which is good. I'm happy you've been angry. I've been angry at the product. You care. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be angry. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be upset at the nonsense that has gone on here for almost 15 years. I think that nonsense is over now, but it was a long time coming. Jaguar fans are terrific. Jaguar fans are some of the most passionate fans in the NFL. And if we ever get a consistent winner here, good grief, man, what this city could be like. I just remember the appetizers we got in 2017 and 2022. If we could ever just get a consistent year after year after year, at least being in competition for a division title or a wild card spot, what this city could be on Fridays and Saturdays leading in to big Jaguar game days on Sundays. Back to the point at hand, 2,500 strong in the Miller Electric Center on a Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Awesome. Kudos to you. A tip of the cap to you, Jaguar fans, because that was very, very impressive this morning down at Jaguar Minicamp. Speaking of Jaguar Minicamp, after practice today, I had the opportunity to do a one-on-one with Jaguar rookie offensive lineman Wyatt Milum. Wyatt was a third-round pick out of West Virginia, the Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. I like him. I like him a lot. And here's that conversation from earlier today with Jaguar rookie Wyatt Milum. Jaguar Minicamp, day 2 in the rearview mirror at the Miller Electric Center. We got Jaguar offensive lineman Wyatt Milum with us here on 1010XL. Wyatt, how'd it go out there today?
It was good. We competed out there. I feel like each day the team's getting better and better. So we had a good day competing. This is a good day of competing.
What has it been like for you? You get drafted, you come right into rookie minicamp, right into OTAs, right into veteran minicamp. Has it been a whirlwind for you for the last 6 weeks?
No, I felt like everything so far, it's a little much at the beginning, trying to get the offense down and everything. But I felt like the way the coaches have explained it and done it over the period of time since I've been here, I felt that they made it a smooth process. So I feel like everything's going good right now.
You know, the Jaguar fan base really took a liking to you very quickly. In draft night, you talked about no one's going to touch Trevor Lawrence. People really like that mindset. Have you felt a connection very early with the Jaguar fan base? But when I said that, I think that should be that's our motto. We don't want no one touching a quarterback. So, I mean it when I say it. I feel like that's our identity as our offensive line. We don't want no one touching our quarterback. So, yeah. You know, we talk about the versatility of guys on this offensive line. Makari's played all 5 positions. Yeah. You've played a lot of positions. Do you feel comfortable whether they ask you to do guard, tackle? You feel good at either one?
Hey, wherever they want to put me, I'm willing to play. As long as I get on the field and help the team succeed and win, that's all that matters to me. It doesn't matter to me where I play, but I've been mostly playing left guard. So, but anywhere's good with me.
A couple more for Wyatt Milum. The fact that they traded up for you in the draft, just a little added, motivation because they saw something in you to trade up to get you.
Yeah, for sure. That I feel like that just shows that they believe in what I showed in college, and I'm ready to prove to the coaches that I'm willing to do anything for them and this organization and for this team to win. So I'm ready to show up every day and go to work for this team.
We talk about cohesiveness and chemistry on the offensive line. A lot of new guys. You know, you're one of several new guys that were not here, obviously, last year. How do you feel that chemistry is coming along so far?
See, I feel like every offensive line that I've been a part of, it's just something with the O-line guys. You know, I feel like the chemistry is always there. I feel like just a couple of days we're all working together, but I feel like the chemistry and everything's getting better and better each day.
Final question. I spoke to your high school coach the night you got drafted, Brad Dingus, up there in the state of West Virginia. He talked about what you mean to your hometown getting drafted. When you hear your coach say that, you know what your hometown and what that means to those people there. What does that mean to you?
Everything. You know, I feel like every day I go out there, I want to succeed for the team, my family, and especially the state of West Virginia, my hometown. You know, not very many people get to do this opportunity, go play in the NFL. So I feel like I'm grateful every day and blessed that the Lord let me come play this game. So I just I'm very grateful for what my hometown did for me. You know, my childhood growing up there, playing ball there. So I want to make them proud, the hometown. I want to make the state proud, and I want to make this organization proud.
Leave us with this. He told me about an excessive blocking penalty you got. I thought that was only on the blind side with Michael Oher. He said, no, Milam got some excessive blocking penalties.
Yeah, sometimes I don't hear they're not loud enough with the whistle sometimes, you know. So you just got to make sure you finish through that whistle. So I didn't hear it, obviously, or maybe I did. I just wanted to be a little jerk out there. But, you know, yeah, I got a few of them.
Wyatt, welcome to Jacksonville.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
There you go, Wyatt Milam. I like him. I'm a fan. Look, I think you see all the makings of a really, really good offensive lineman in Wyatt Milam. Now, I asked Fred Johnson the same question I asked Wyatt, and we'll replay the Fred Johnson interview for you later on. If you missed it, we played that last night. I do have some concern because, look, what do we always say about the offensive line? You know, I talked to Leon Searcy about this on the fifth quarter. I've talked to numerous offensive linemen about this. There is something about chemistry, right? Cohesiveness, knowing what the guy next to you is going to do, having those repetitions next to a guy for 2, 3, 4 years. The best offensive lines in football. Look at Philadelphia. I mean, look at those guys. How consistent they are, the two tackle spots. Yeah, they had a retirement of Jason Kelce, but prior to that, I mean, those guys were consistent, 5 strong for a couple of years. The best offensive lines in football have that consistency. The Jaguars don't have that. All right, there's no question about that. They don't have that. That's why they brought in 6 new guys that were not here last season to go with Walker Little and Anton Harrison and Ezra Cleveland, and we'll see how it all works out. But my concern is legitimate because of the chemistry issue. But the addition of Macari, Milam, Fred Johnson, Robert Hainsey, I like Jonah Monheim. I like Chuma Edoga, right? I mean, is Edoga potentially in play? Maybe on the right side of that offensive line. I don't know. You tell me. The 2,500 of you that were down there today, Chuma Edoga was getting some run a little bit. How is that going to factor in to training camp? You know, we talk about the left guard spot. Well, is there more than the left guard spot up for grabs? Could there be other potential battles in training camp? Yeah, probably will be, right? On the offensive line. No matter how it works out, you're going to have guys playing on the line that have not played together in a game before. That's just the reality of where the Jaguars are. Can they mesh quick enough? Can they get their chemistry, cohesiveness, whatever you want to call it? Can they get it quick enough? Because as we talked about last night, you can have the best wide receivers on planet Earth. You can have a great quarterback. You can have all the stuff you need on offense. If you don't have an offensive line, none of it matters. That is the most important spot, most important unit. Most important player is Trevor Lawrence. The most important unit on the offense is that offensive line. Baloo mentioned this earlier. I'll address it really quick. Yeah, that was scary today with Brian Thomas Jr. That was scary. He went down. Obviously, you know that. It's been all over, right? All over social media. I can assure you, when he went down, I was in the end zone and went right to social media. It's what we do, right? And Brian Thomas Jr.'s down. Got up, walked off under his own power, which was awesome. Became apparent it wasn't a lower body issue. At least it didn't look like it. And Liam Cohen addressed that in the post-game or the post-practice press conference. Liam Cohen said, I believe he said it was a shoulder. And he said something very important as well, that Brian Thomas Jr. could have gone back in. They held him out as a precaution because it's June 11th. To me, I don't need to see Brian Thomas Jr. until maybe September 7th. All right? If you tell me I don't see Brian Thomas Jr. again until the opener, I'm probably okay with that. If you want to get him a couple of weeks of, reps, all right, I'll see Brian Thomas Jr. on August 23rd. I don't need to see any more of him until then. Because when he's on the ground for those 90 seconds and your head's spinning a little bit, it becomes very clear. As excited as we all are about Travis Hunter, and we talk about De'Ami Brown and Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby and ETN and all of these guys, right? Outside of Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. is the most important person on this Jaguar offense. And I don't think it's particularly close. We can get fired up for Hunter, and we are. And the idea of De'Ami Brown's exciting. I mean, all that's exciting. But outside of Trevor, the most important guy on the offense, it's Brian Thomas Jr., man. And the Jaguars probably dodged one today. Good. The injuries have been brutal the last couple of years. The Jaguars are owed a couple of breaks by the football powers that be. And it appears Brian Thomas Jr. is A-OK. He was held out of practice as a precaution. Could have gone back in. But again, it's June 11th. If I don't see Brian Thomas Jr. on the field again for 2 months, 2+ months, I'm totally fine with that. To make sure he is good to go, man, for September 7th against the Carolina Panthers. More from the Jaguar minicamp. Again, I got a chance to catch up with Fred Johnson at Jaguar minicamp. We'll air that conversation for you coming up right around the top of the 9 o'clock hour or so. A little before, probably. Coming up next, we got Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Series tied 1-1. Thunder and the Pacers. We also got a lot of NBA rumors, man. Kevin Durant, is he on the move? Karl Anthony Towns, could he potentially be on the move? What about Giannis? Is he going to be back in Milwaukee? We're like 2.5 weeks away from the NBA draft. There is a ton of stuff going on, including Game 3 of the Finals that tips off in about 20 minutes. One of my NBA guys here on Hacker After Dark, my buddy Zach Hanshu of Roto World. He's covered the league for years, and he joins me next here on a Wednesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
Brunell swats it downfield looking for Keenan in the end zone. Keenan leaps, makes the catch. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Touchdown, Jacksonville. 31 yards.
The home of the home team you grew up with. 1010XL.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with One Plus. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Hey, so why do we tee off?
Tee it high and let it fly.
He's got a beautiful backswing.
Oh, he got all of that one.
Tour news, local updates, and the latest gear. Cut a few strokes off your game Saturday mornings at 10 with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour on 1010XL.
What is the smallest NFL stadium? The answer coming up.
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Soldier Field in Chicago is not only the smallest, but is also the oldest, built originally in 1924.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Take a radio boat ride with Captain Cabin on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Wheeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services and awaken 180 weight loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Yo, E.T. here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head on. Throw axes at Live by Axe or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your cool at ExploreClay.com. That's ExploreClay.com.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Hey, Hicken here, and you know I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on. Temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry-fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the screen, sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Beaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at beachesdermatology.com.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound & Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound & Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. We coat it all: garages, pool decks, driveways, and patios. Be the envy of your neighbors.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NBA Finals all tied at a game apiece between Indiana and Oklahoma City. Game 3, as the series now shifts to Indiana, will take place later this week. And obviously, the Tom Thibodeau firing in New York was kind of a shock to me. We'll talk about all of it with Zach Hanshu of Roto World. He does a terrific job covering the association, and Zach is certainly one of our NBA guys here on 1010XL. Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Hey, Zach, we're good. Appreciate the time. All right, there's a lot of things I want to get into with you. First and foremost, 2 games into the finals, all tied at a game apiece. Indiana now with home court. Your overall thoughts 2 games into the NBA Finals?
I'll tell you what, man. I picked OKC in 6 before the series started. I think I'm going to stay with that pick. It looks like, obviously, they're the better team. They're the juggernaut. But, man, Indiana's on a run for the ages right now. Obviously, the Thunder have led for almost 92 minutes in this series. The Pacers have led for just a little bit under 2 minutes in Game 1. Halliburton with another game winner, 15-point late comeback. So obviously you can't count the Pacers out, even though I'm picking against them in this series. Last night wasn't much of a surprise. I don't think anybody should be too shocked that OKC came out and got such a comfortable lead. They were in a position to essentially be up 2-0 had it not been for that game winner on Thursday in Game 1. And if they would have lost last night, you're going to Indiana down 0-2. So they came out aggressive. They came out desperate. They had some adjustments. Obviously, they went with a bigger lineup after they got crushed on the glass in Game 1. That worked out well for them. They've been comfortably winning the turnover battle. It's 39-19 turnover advantage for OKC, which is huge, just causing Indiana to make a lot of mistakes that they don't typically make. But I mean, this is a fun matchup between 2 young athletic teams that like to get out and transition. Obviously, Indiana is far more likely to go for the 3-point shot. Those shots weren't falling last night. The Thunder did a great job of defending. Indiana was lights out in Game 1, and of course, just couldn't get it going there last night. And Shea, 72 points, that's the most by any player in his first 2 finals games ever. So we know what he can do as a scorer. You saw Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren get going last night after they kind of didn't do their thing in Game 1. You had a huge night from the bench. Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso getting going, which you didn't see in Game 1. And, of course, Indiana, they just had a bad shooting night last night. OKC did a great job of defending, but there were some open looks for the Pacers as well. So I do think the Thunder are the better team. I do think they get this thing done in 6. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers at least split at home. They've been a little bit better on the road this postseason. And, of course, Oklahoma City can win on the road as well. So I'm sticking with Thunder in 6. I think, obviously, the biggest headline going into Game 3 is Tyrese Halliburton's aggression. You take a look at his matchups with OKC, not only this season in the regular season and playoffs, but going back to last season as well. He's not shooting poorly against the Thunder. He's just not getting up as many shots. He's getting swarmed on defense. He's getting some one-on-one attention from Lou Dort, which is never good for, shot makers. But he's just not being aggressive. He even said it after the game, like, hey, I scored 12 points in the fourth quarter, but came into the fourth quarter with 5 points. And for a guy that's your second leading scorer, your facilitator, the engine that runs that team, you just can't be that quiet and wait till the end of the game, because at some point Oklahoma City is going to pile on you and they're not going to let you hang around until the fourth quarter. So I think that's what I'm going to be looking for in Game 3. But this is really a chance for the Thunder to make a statement as well and recapture the lead here. So I expect them to come out just as aggressive as they were last night.
Zach Hanshu of Roto World covering the NBA with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. The casual sports fan, Zach, not NBA fan, but sports fan, I'm not sure if they know much about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The NBA fan does, but the casual sports fan does not. Is this an opportunity for his come out, breakout performance, if you will, over the next week and a half?
It absolutely is. If he can finish off this series and the Thunder win, there's nobody else that would even be in consideration for Finals MVP if Oklahoma City wins. He's the clear leader of this team. He does it all. And if he ends up winning Finals MVP and gets his first ring, you're talking about putting this season up with some of the greatest point guard seasons of all time. You finish as the scoring leader. You win regular season MVP. You won Western Conference MVP, and then Western Conference Finals MVP. And now you're going to win a ring and Finals MVP. That's one of the greatest seasons for a point guard of all time if he can get this thing done. And especially if he can get this thing done against a Pacers team. I think a lot of people might knock the matchup and say, wow, this is kind of a soft matchup. You're playing the 4th seed out of the East. The East was a little bit weaker this year. But I don't think people understand just how good this Pacers team has been in the playoffs. They're the best shooting team in the playoffs. They're the best clutch team in the playoffs. They've had some incredible fourth quarter comebacks. This is not a team you can take lightly and take your foot off the gas. So this would be a quality win for the Thunder. They rolled through Jokic in 7 games. They rolled through the Timberwolves, who were, in contention for the Western Conference Finals this time last year as well. This would be a huge win for SGA and a real chance for him to put his name just out there in the main market.
I get the vibe nationally that maybe the Pacers have gotten a lot of national love more so than the Thunder, maybe the underdog role. But I genuinely think Tyrese Halliburton, people like him, right? They see him on the Pat McAfee show. He's very active with the WWE, and he's been nothing short of sensational in this playoff run. You think of the game winner to eliminate Milwaukee. You think of the game winner to beat Cleveland in Cleveland. You think of what he did against the Knicks at the Garden, and you think about what he did in game 1 of the finals. We're talking legendary status if Indiana were to go on to win this series for Tyrese Halliburton, correct?
Correct. He's already to the point where people are talking about him as the greatest Pacer ever, surpassing Reggie Miller, whether or not they win this series. If they win this series, obviously he's the best Pacer ever. But, 3 years in, people are already having that conversation because of these game winners. He even had the choke sign against the Knicks. I agree with you. I think Halliburton's a likable guy. People might call him, a little corny, just for his antics sometimes. I think he's likable. I think everybody loves to see a game winner. And of course he's had several of those so far. But you don't get that same level of attention for Oklahoma City because they don't need to do those kind of things. They don't need to come back in the fourth quarter. They don't need to have some crazy sequences in the final minute and come back from 8 and 9 points down. They were 68-14 in the regular season. Essentially went through the playoffs like a hot knife through butter, aside from that tough series against Denver. And so they don't really need to have those flashy comebacks. And you don't have any players on the Thunder team that go out and do anything fancy or flashy. It's business as usual. Especially when your leading scorer and your MVP he's a mid-range magician. He's not doing any crazy dunks. He's not doing any big 3-pointers. His game is the midi and getting to the free throw line, and that's just not as popular or flashy.
Final moment, Zach Hanshu of Roto World covering the NBA with us here on 1010XL. All right, Zach, I was on a cruise ship last week, so it was kind of hard to get information. But when we got into one of the ports of call and I fired up my phone, I see Tom Thibodeau fired in New York after an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. All was right with the world with the Knicks, apparently 2-3 weeks ago. And now the coach gets fired after losing in the Eastern Conference Finals. How surprised were you by that move?
I was shocked. Hearing some of the things that the players were saying and rumors that you're hearing coming out of New York afterward, maybe not so surprising. I mean, Thibodeau is on a legendary level of just wearing his players out. He runs such a tight rotation. He's been doing it everywhere he's played, essentially, or everywhere he's coached, excuse me. And he runs his starters into the ground. And a lot of the time you'll see them start to get tired or injured in the playoffs. And that's what some of the players were talking about. New York's bench, highly underdeveloped. I'm a West Virginia alum, so I was really pushing for some more Deuce McBride minutes this season, which obviously he got more minutes than he's used to, but again, not as much from the bench. You had guys just sitting on the bench, essentially getting no playing time unless it was a blowout or garbage time. And you had guys like Towns and Brunson and Hart just, running 40 minutes a night. So I think if we're looking to the future, I really think they're going to come in. When you fire a coach, you're going to kind of go to the opposite view. So I would expect more of probably a player's coach, maybe a guy that's a little less hard-nosed, maybe a guy that's more focused on the offense. You have so many offensive weapons, yet everything really seemed to run through Brunson and sometimes through Towns as well. Maybe next season they take an approach similar to Cleveland. If you see Cleveland, they won 64 games, and all their starters' scoring numbers were down. You had Mitchell take a big step back. Garland took a step back. Mobley, Jared Allen, Max Strus, all of these guys took a dip in scoring to start sharing the love around with one another and to start getting the bench around and more involved. And so maybe we see a similar approach in New York where you're not so reliant on one or two guys and you start spreading the love around. You got guys like OG Anunoby, 17 points a game. Maybe that number gets closer to 20. Maybe Brunson comes down into the 23, 24 range. Maybe we start to get Mikal Bridges a little bit more involved. And maybe you don't see so much fatigue as the playoffs come on for New York.
I mean, that's a big job, obviously, at the Garden with the Knicks. Are there any big names that are rumored there?
I saw Kevin Durant is a name that is linked to New York. So I think that would be very interesting. It would be a very cool move for both teams. Obviously, you could send Kevin Durant to New York. The salaries would match with Karl Anthony Towns if you want to go in that direction. I've heard that maybe some players weren't too happy with Towns' lack of intensity on the defensive end. And so maybe you get Kevin Durant out there. He's a better scorer. Even at his age, he's a quality defender, can guard multiple positions. And you put Karl Anthony Towns back with his Kentucky friend, Devin Booker, in Phoenix, and you try to do something a little bit different out in Phoenix. You are tied to Towns' contract, if you're the Suns, but he is a younger guy. He does have that history with Booker, and maybe that's the reset that you need for Phoenix and that move that puts you over the top for New York.
All right, Zach, final question. Finals still going on, obviously, but the NBA draft is at the end of the month. What are we looking for trade-wise, NBA rumors, player movement, anything leading up to the draft you're keeping your eye on?
Yeah, I'm still keeping my eye on the early picks, right? So you're keeping your eye on Cooper Flagg. I think everybody knows that's a done deal to Dallas, but what we saw from Nico Harrison this year to trade Luka, would it be completely crazy to see him trade that number one pick? I don't think so. I think all indications are that the Mavericks will make that pick and Flagg will be a Maverick. But I'm very interested to see if anything happens there. The Spurs, obviously, they have some great picks that they can trade. They have some young assets that they can trade. Maybe they're aggressive. Maybe they go out and push for a Kevin Durant or a Giannis. And the same thing with Houston. They have an early pick. They have a ton of assets, very deep bench, full of young guys. Maybe they do the same. So those are two of the biggest names right now, especially Giannis. And so some of these teams, like I said, Houston and San Antonio in particular are the two that I'm keeping an eye on. Maybe they turn their picks and some of their young guys into a superstar and solidify their cores.
Zach Hanshu of Roto World covering the NBA. Zach, quickly, you think Thunder in 6, correct?
That's the pick. I'm sticking with it.
All right, Thunder in 6. We'll see. Series tied 1-1. Game 3 now moving to Indiana later in the week. Zach, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
From pit road to victory lane.
He'll bypass him on the back straightaway.
Sunday in Mexico City.
That should be all she wrote.
Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234. From the station with the most horsepower, 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
They were right. It could have waited. I can't believe it happened to me. Reaching to check my phone. Now my family has to hear that I'm never coming home again.
Officer?
I'm so sorry. I have some very sad news to share with you.
Every day, 9 people on Florida roadways don't make it home. I was one of the people that didn't make it home.
Ride with Do Not Disturb. Every trip, every time. Let's get everyone home safely. A message from Florida Department of Transportation, Target Zero. For more information, visit targetzerofl.com.
Got a leaky faucet, AC blowing hot air, a funky smelling septic tank? No worries, Duck Rooter has your back. We're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning, so you can stop juggling 3 companies and just make one easy call. Our expert techs are fast, friendly, and really know their ducks. I mean stuff. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Rooter, plumbing, septic, AC, and a whole lot of quacking good service.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out The Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At The Y, summer camps every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Listen to whatever you like, whenever you want.
I like this.
1010XL on demand. Ad-free shows after the live shows end. Shadowed by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Search where you find podcasts.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Need or want cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway for all your outdoor living needs. Let them show you how a durable paver driveway can enhance your home. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
June is Men's Health Month, and here's your reminder to be proactive and get screened for early detection at Ackerman Cancer Center. Many cancer instances are largely preventable and treatable. So take steps now to minimize your risk factors at ackermancancercenter.com.
Have you been diagnosed with moderate to severe opioid use disorder? You may qualify for a new clinical research study. Dr. Ferdinand Formoso is now enrolling participants to evaluate the effectiveness of a non-opioid medication treatment option for OUD. Qualified participants will receive study-related care at no cost and may be eligible for reimbursement of travel and accommodations. To qualify, applicants must be 18 to 65 years old, have been diagnosed with moderate to severe opioid use disorder, and have not been on medication to treat opioid use in the last 3 months. The study lasts up to 22 weeks, with weekly visits during treatment. If you're ready to explore a new path forward, visit OUDstudy.com for more details and qualifications. Take the first steps and visit OUDstudy.com. That's OUDstudy.com. OUDstudy.com.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference. For 100 years, service you can trust. Lee and Kate's Glass, depend on us. Glass solutions to meet your needs. Reliable quality guaranteed. Complete customer satisfaction. With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Game 3 of the NBA Finals underway. Oklahoma City off to an early start, man. They're so good. 7:35 to go in the first quarter. Thunder 15, Pacers 6. Look, Oklahoma City has started shooting the ball 6 of 9 from the field. Chet Holmgren, 8 early points. The Pacers, on the other hand, have started 3 of 7. Pascal Siakam is the only guy that scored. It's Oklahoma City 15, Pascal Siakam 6. That's obviously not a good recipe for Indiana. We'll keep you updated, but I think clearly Oklahoma City is the better team. Now, Indiana is a team that if they can hang around, they've proven time and time again that they can steal games in the fourth quarter. The question is, can they hang around? They did in game 1. Obviously did not in game 2, and it's not a great start for them right now. Still very early, but again, an early 15-6 lead for Oklahoma City, only about 4.5 minutes into the game. Speaking of basketball, Florida Gator fans, did you see this? Couple of things about your schedule for this upcoming year in the defense of your national championship. We already knew Florida was going to tip off the year in Las Vegas, I believe November 3rd against Arizona. We obviously knew Florida's going to play Florida State in the non-conference. We know they're going to play UConn in the non-conference. We find out today that Florida and Kentucky will again be home and home this year. Remember last year, Florida had to go to Lexington. Kentucky never came to Gainesville. That was crap. I hated that. I guess the SEC finally came to their senses. Florida and Kentucky need to play twice, and they're going to play twice this year. Florida will again go to Rupp, but unlike last year, Kentucky will now come to Gainesville as well. I wonder what the reception will be like for Denzel Aberdeen in that game in Gainesville. And it came out earlier this afternoon, the SEC-ACC Challenge for 2025. Florida's going to Cameron Indoor. Whew. The Gators and the Dukies at Cameron Indoor Stadium. You know, for those people that questioned Florida's non-conference last year, well, it doesn't really matter because they beat UConn and Texas Tech and Maryland and all of these teams, Houston, to win the national championship. You couldn't question anything after that. But some were questioning their non-conference before the tourney run. You can't do that this year. Duke, UConn, Arizona, Florida State. Florida's in another one of those tournaments where they could potentially see, I think it's either like Providence or Wisconsin in a matchup. They are playing some good teams. And Florida's going to be good. Micah Hanlockton, Ruben Chinyelu, Thomas Houck, Alex Condon, all back. Urban Clavshard back. And then the transfers and the freshmen. The freshmen, Alex Lloyd and C.J. Ingram. The transfers, A.J. Brown. Obviously, Xavier Lee, Boogie Flan. You got Isaiah Brown, A.J.'s brother, who played a little bit last year as well. So hopefully the team can come together because it is a tough non-conference slate, but it should get Florida ready for conference play. Speaking of the Gators, let's go from the hardwood to the gridiron. A man that played at the University of Florida is entering his 7th year in the National Football League, fresh off a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles in a season in which he started 6 games along that Eagle offensive line. Yesterday at Jaguar minicamp, I had the opportunity to catch up with Jaguar offensive lineman Fred Johnson. Here is that conversation on Hacker After Dark.
Jaguars wrapping up day 1 of minicamp at the Miller Electric Center. We're out here with Jaguar offensive lineman Fred Johnson. Fred, how we doing?
Doing good. Just finished practice.
How'd it go out there today?
It went good. A lot of stuff to work on, but good day of competition and stuff. So.
What has this been like for you? Back in the state of Florida, you spent some time with the Buccaneers, but back in Jacksonville, obviously you played at the University of Florida. How's the homecoming been?
It's been pretty good, back in the state, from here. So, family's close by, got to get back used to the Florida heat. But overall, it's been fun. I've been, been at peace being back. So, just taking it one day at a time.
Got to ask you about Billy Napier in a little bit. We'll save that for the end and your alma mater. But Super Bowl for you last year, you got a ring on your finger. Obviously, there's a leadership role that comes with that. There's not a lot of guys out here that have a Super Bowl ring. Do you welcome that leadership with this team?
Yeah, I welcome it. Obviously, I knew, coming off the season I had last year with the team and then, winning the Super Bowl, I come here with a different perspective that, some guys can't offer, being that I was part of a winning team for multiple years. And, I welcome that role, day in and day out. They need me to step up, I will. They need me to mentor guys. I'll take them under my wing. That just comes with the game, comes with the business. I'm a vet, so obviously I want the young guys to succeed because they're going to be here way longer after me. So,
well, one of the things you provide as well, an undrafted free agent, and you've made it. You're year 7, year 8 in the league. What guidance do you give for some of the undrafted guys here?
Undrafted, like I told some of the guys, catch them in the sauna or something like that. Just, bro, don't take this for granted. You ain't make it yet. Yeah, you here. Yeah, you got the logo on your jersey and you got the equipment and you know what I'm saying. You're part of the process, but the process isn't done yet. Even after you make the team after training camp, the process isn't done yet. Year 3, the process isn't done. Year 7, the process is still the process, and you can't assume that you can't get comfortable by any means. And that's what I try to preach to them. That's what I try to echo to them. You can't get comfortable. Once you get comfortable, it's over.
A couple of more for Fred Johnson. All right, 6 new offensive linemen with the guys that were here last year. We always talk about cohesiveness, and the offensive line's got to build chemistry. Can you do that in one offseason with the amount of change on this offensive line this year?
You can do that with any offensive line. It just takes the time to, invest in what you want. You want to invest in the chemistry. Guys hang out, guys chill after practice. We have, O-line events and stuff. And, I feel like the room was coming together way better than I thought it would. Being that some of us knew each other from old teams and things like that. I feel like, anything is possible as long as you have the intention to do it. So,
when you see Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., Etienne, Travis Hunter, a lot of speed on this offense, how exciting is it to be a part of that?
It's exciting. This offense has a lot of weapons, and there's never there's no short of talent on this team. But despite any record or any belief of what last year used to be or years before that, there's plenty of talent on this team, and it's just about getting those talents in the right places in the right situations that they can showcase them. And I'm excited to see what the feats, the heights that these guys reach this year. And I want to be a part of that process firsthand. So,
as we wrap up, last Jaguar question. What was it about Jacksonville? I'm sure you had a lot of opportunities in free agency. What ultimately landed you here?
Really just, the opportunity. I opportunity and what, you know, the culture they're trying to build. And, like, everything outside of that is just, you know, numbers and, you know, stuff that's not really going to hold weight as to who I want to be outside of, you know, like who I wanted to be outside of the Eagles and what the Eagles have done for me. Like, I don't want to be just a guy that came from the Eagles and came from good, you know, tutelage and stuff like that at the Stoutland. You know, I'm my own player and I'm my own person, and I want to showcase my skills on the level, on a place where, you know, it's not expected and the opportunity is there. So, I mean, just the coaches, when I talk to them and, you know, got in here and, you know, they preaching everything that I'm about. You know, I just want a chance. Just give me an opportunity and I'm going to run with it. So.
You know, we talk about the Eagles as we say goodbye to you. To Jaguar fans, most of them, your former Florida Gator, Fred Johnson. What do you think about Billy Napier? What do you think about your alma mater?
I love my alma mater. I love them to death. I'm actually about to finish school here in the upcoming year or so. I started back doing classes this off season. But I love my alma mater. I talked to Billy when he came here last time. And, you know, I'm going to try to now I'm able to go to more games. So, you know, I'm excited for that. But I love what he got, you know, how he got the program going. And I love the culture he's building. And, you know, I have 1,000% faith in him to turn it around, him and Lagway. And, you know, I'm excited to see what they do this year.
I know Gator fans are excited to have you here in Jacksonville, Fred. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There you go, Fred Johnson, Wyatt Milam earlier tonight as well. As always, thank you to the Jaguar PR staff, John, Dylan, Emily, Amanda, everybody down there with Jaguars PR for helping us get these interviews on Hacker After Dark. And there's a couple of offensive linemen, two of the new guys, two of the new six, if you will. We talk about Fred Johnson, Chuma Edoga, Robert Hainsey, Patrick McCarry, and then in the draft, it was Wyatt Milam and Jonah Monheim. I believe all six of those guys are going to make the 53. Then you lump in Anton Harrison, you lump in Walker Little, you lump in Ezra Cleveland. That's 9 right there. And then the question is, all right, do you keep 10? And if you keep 10, who is the 10th guy? Is it Cole Van Lannon? Is it Luke Fortner? Is it Javon Foster? Is it somebody else? A lot of competition on that offensive line. I'll tell you this as well. You start seeing guys make plays, numerous plays day after day. I've been to what? We've been allowed to go to 4 OTAs. I've been to 3 of them, a couple of minis. So I've been on there 5 times in the last couple of weeks. There's a wide receiver in camp named Dorian Singer, I believe from Arizona, I want to say. Look, it's a loaded wide receiver room with BTJ and Travis Hunter and De'Ami Brown and Parker Washington. I think Cephas is in the mix. There's other guys that are in the mix. Keep your eye on this Singer cat. That guy's making plays all over the field. Now, again, will that change come training camp? Will he have the opportunity in the preseason? Who knows? I'm just telling you what I've seen in the 3 OTAs that I've been to and the 2 minicamp practices that I've been to. And what I've seen is Dorian Singer, and ironically enough, I believe he has Christian Kirk's number. I think he's wearing 13. 13's flashing out there. So that might be my guy this time around. I always pick a guy, and maybe it's Dorian Singer. I was going to go with Justin Herbert's brother, just simply for the fact that Justin Herbert's brother is on this team. But I think I might switch. I think I might go Dorian Singer because I've seen enough from that guy that I want to see more, particularly when the pads come on in late July and early to mid-August. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we will round out our NFC North preview. 1 division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. This week, it's been all about the NFC North. Excuse me. We've already made stops in Detroit and in Green Bay. Tonight, we will finish up in Minnesota and Chicago. My guy, Matthew Collar of Purple Insider. He's been my guy in Minneapolis for many years. Also, Josh Buckhalter of Heavy.com. He does a great job covering not only the NBA, does some NFL work for Heavy.com. Josh actually lives in Chicago. He's with Clocker Sports as well. So we'll do a little Bears offseason review and a Viking offseason review coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. I will tell you as well, we are 4 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first quarter. Indiana hanging around. Oklahoma City 19, Indiana 14. Chet Holmgren already 12 early points for the Thunder. But this is what the Pacers need to do. Just hang around till the fourth quarter. 19-14, OKC over Indiana. About 4.5 to go in quarter number 1. 9 o'clock hour is upon us. A lot more to do. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
This is Daniel Murphy on my hometown station here in Jacksonville, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Let's start with some cold, hard truth. Here's why Awaken 180 Weight Loss is your road to freedom. It's fast, it's easy, it's safe. You're not shooting chemicals into your body every week. You're eating real food every single day. You're not listening to an overpriced celebrity tell you about magical new food or asking you to count points or calories. You're just eating food and losing weight. It's that simple with Awaken 180 Weight Loss. You know what else you're doing while losing weight with Awaken 180? Eliminating pain, fitting into clothes you haven't worn in years, sleeping through the night and waking up refreshed and energized and happy. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180, and Hacker lost more than 110 over the course of a year. It's a life-changing road to freedom. Doesn't matter what your goal weight is, Awaken 180 Weight Loss will get you there quickly and safely, a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180. Give them a call, 844-346-1800, or go online at awaken180weightloss.com.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
Where does Northeast Florida buy cars? Arlington Toyota. Why Arlington? Selection. Arlington has over 800 new and used vehicles all in one location with everyday low prices. Plus, right now you choose a pre-owned 2023 Camry, RAV4, Tacoma for $0 down and only $388 per month. Or how about no payments till January 2026? Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of $295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hey, Hicken here. Tired of glasses or contacts? Discover customized vision solutions at Bowden Eye & Associates. Dr. Bowden's team offers cutting-edge options like EVO implantable Collamer lenses or refractive lens exchange and classic LASIK, designed to fit your life. Picture perfect vision for reading, driving, or just enjoying the day. It's easier than you think. Call now for your free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, they're keeping the First Coast focused.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins. Fighting for your rights since 1975.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. One division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. This week, it's all about the NFC North, and what a division that is. We will make stops in Green Bay and Chicago and in Detroit. Right now, it's all about the Minnesota Vikings coming off an awesome regular season last year. A little bit of change in Minnesota, obviously, particularly at the quarterback. What's this offseason been like for the Vikings? Our guy up in Minneapolis is Matthew Collar of Purple Insider, and Matthew's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Matthew, how you doing?
Well, it's been a pretty busy time for me this offseason, I would say. Now that Aaron Rodgers is not a Minnesota Viking, I feel like the final puzzle pieces are all together for what this team is going to look like. But just to let you know what things are like up here, I'm setting YouTube records for videos about OTA recaps of what J.J. McCarthy looks like. So that's the level of hype now around the young quarterback here.
And we'll get to J.J. McCarthy. That's certainly the big story. Last year, man, such a good regular season, heck, borderline great regular season, and disappointment, I guess, in the postseason. How would you summarize last season in totality?
Yeah, I think it was a fun ride that everybody knew had a good chance to end in the first or second round of the playoffs. I mean, they were a really, really good team. No offense to the AFC South, though, but there was 4 free wins that came along with playing against that division last year for the Vikings. And I think that it made everybody in the NFC North look stronger than they were. Detroit with 15 wins last year. And then even Green Bay was a pretty, I thought, middling team. And, they make the playoffs. And all of those teams got eliminated, pretty fast once the playoffs came around. And I think their flaws were covered up by schedules that were easier than we initially projected. I don't think any of us figured that Jacksonville was going to struggle as much as they did, or that, my goodness, the Colts playing Joe Flacco when they played against the Vikings. And so, by the time we got to the end of the season, it was like, all right, this team is good. It is strong, but it's almost a year ahead of itself for where we expected them to be with the roster. And then once they got into the postseason, the offensive line's flaws were really on display. And then as great as Sam Darnold was, and he really was truly great last year during the regular season, season, there was always, and the Jacksonville game really showed it, there was always that in him, that kind of meltdown, or, people talking about him going back to the old Sam, which I think is a little unfair, but the ups and downs of a volatile quarterback like that. And then once we got to the end of the season, I think that made the decision easier for the Vikings to go to J.J. McCarthy. If he had won a playoff game, it would have been really hard to just move on from Darnold. But it was one of those memorable seasons, fun rides, but no one really took it that serious. And I think after this off season, that mentality has changed for the team and the fans, that I think they are now taking this as one of the better rosters in the entire NFL. And it's all right, go compete for a Super Bowl.
This week's all about the NFC North here on 1010XL, one division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. Tonight's the Minnesota Vikings. Matthew Collar, Purple Insider, is our guy up in Minneapolis. All right, J.J. McCarthy, Matthew, they've made the decision to go with him, to let go of Sam Darnold, to, I guess, not pursue Aaron Rodgers, and J.J. McCarthy is the guy. As you mentioned, the fan base up there seems pretty excited about this. What's your reaction to where the quarterback has landed there in Minnesota?
This here is really part of a 3-year plan for the Vikings leadership from the time that they got here. When they fired Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, the plan was for them. They're not a team that tanks. They're always going to spend money in the off season. They're always going to try to be competitive as much as they can, but to rebuild and reset the roster over a 3-year plan and ultimately build around a quarterback. That's why when there was a lot of discussion, are the Vikings going to bring back Kirk Cousins last year? It's like, that's not their plan. Their plan from the entire time from they got there was to take down the old roster that had the Adam Thielens and Delvin Cooks and Eric Kendricks and all those guys, and rebuild the roster around a rookie quarterback contract. That has been the cheat code in the NFL. I'm sorry that it didn't really work in Jacksonville, but it definitely has worked in places like San Francisco with Brock Purdy and Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts the first time they went to the Super Bowl. We've seen it Jared Goff when he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams, where teams get the young quarterback and then stack that roster like crazy. And they've already got the foundation of talent with Justin Jefferson, of course, Christian Darrisaw, other players that they've drafted or acquired through the years. And now they can spend, like they did this offseason, they spent more money than anybody else, went out and got a bunch of veteran players to stack up the roster and to really fill the holes that cost them in the playoffs, the offensive line, the interior defensive line. And so now with J.J. McCarthy here, it seems risky because he hasn't played before, but this was what they wanted to do the whole time. And they did get enough of a sample size last year in training camp and preseason to be confident that he can run this offense. And also, Justin Jefferson is just a kingmaker for quarterbacks. You saw that last year for Sam Darnold. And I think the test case of a guy who was known as one of the biggest busts in the league in Sam Darnold, elevating his game to a top 10 level, even in the MVP discussion at one point. I mean, I think that tells you a lot about what Kevin O'Connell, this offensive line, these wide receivers, this now a running game that is improved in the offseason can really do for a quarterback. But still, it is an interesting roll of the dice because the kid has never thrown a real NFL pass. So it is one of the more fascinating situations, I think, in the entire NFL.
We know how good free agency was for the Vikings last year. Jonathan Grenard, the former Gator, Andrew Van Ginkel. I mean, those guys were incredible. As you mentioned, maybe not the name value necessarily, but some guys on the interior offensive line, a couple of guys out of the AFC South, right, that you referenced earlier. And then you mentioned the interior defensive line. Who were some of the bigger additions in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it was so clear in the playoffs when they played against the Rams that if you're going to go into a playoff game with an interior of an offensive line that's patched together, you're going to get blown up at some point. I think every team in the playoffs realized that, right? I mean, we saw the Texans go down that way. We saw Justin Herbert and the Chargers go down that way. So they went and spent on Will Fries and Ryan Kelly at center and guard. And you are familiar with those guys from the offensive line of the Indianapolis Colts. And you could argue that, okay, it's a little too much money for Fries, or Ryan Kelly is a little on the older side, but the improvement from where they were at those positions is absolutely massive. It's enormous with these guys versus what they had before. And they drafted Donovan Jackson in the first round. Then on the defensive line side, Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, two of the bigger defensive tackle free agents that were out there. They went and got them. And I think maybe even the biggest free agent move wasn't even signing those guys, even though they have certainly improved, a defensive line unit that was already good. But I think bringing back Byron Murphy Jr. is one of those where it doesn't make a whole lot of headlines around the NFL, but he has been enormous for this defense since Brian Flores got here. For whatever reason, he and Brian Flores have just clicked super well. So they were able to retain him and bring him back on a contract. He was a free agent. And so they've kept together all the bones of what they had last year with a top 5 defense, and then added 2 really, dynamic defensive tackles that can get after the passer. And they were just patching over that situation with guys who stuff the run. So now it's a new look, which allows Brian Flores to do a lot more. And then one more addition. It was a very busy offseason. Jordan Mason in the backfield is another one that I think could be big. Fantasy shows across the country are asking, what's Jordan Mason going to do? But last year they could not. You saw this in the Jacksonville game. They couldn't stuff the ball in with the running back at the goal line. It was impossible for them. So now with the offensive line, Jordan Mason is an enormous running back. I think they have really changed everything that haunted them last year down the stretch. And will it work? I guess we'll find out, but they at least were very intentional about the way they went about this offseason.
Final moments, Matthew Collar, Purple Insider, covering the Minnesota Vikings with us as our NFC North preview continues. You mentioned Jordan Mason. Obviously, it starts and stops with Jefferson, the wide receiver, probably the best wide receiver in football. Outside of Jefferson and Mason, Matthew, how would you assess the skill talent that surrounds J.J. McCarthy?
I think it's pretty darn good. I mean, if you were just to take wide receiver 2, the tight end, wide receiver 3, and running back, I mean, you could compare those to anybody in the league, I think, because, Jordan Addison last year really showed us something that, his first year, he was pretty good as a rookie. I thought he took a pretty big step last year, and there's still another step, I think, for him to go. But that duo is one of the best in the league. And then, they had another player, Jalen Naylor, who I'm sure, if fantasy players might be drafting him in their 20th round or something, but he has become a legitimate deep threat for them, and he's somebody that they can trust. And then TJ Hawkinson last year struggled at times, but he was coming back from an ACL injury. And I think that he and Sam Darnold never really got on the same page because he came back mid-season. So now he's going to start from day one with J.J. McCarthy. And 2 years ago when he was healthy, he's out there catching 100 passes. So, and not to mention that they brought back Aaron Jones as well. I mean, this is as good of a supporting cast as you can give a quarterback. I mean, that's why I've been making the Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts comparisons, because, both of those quarterbacks I think are good, but I don't think either one of them is Peyton Manning. And yet those are the guys that are competing for Super Bowls because of how deep and good their supporting casts are. So, and then, they got the coach of the year too. So you can see why the expectations are sky high here.
Matthew, I want to end with Grant Udinski from Minnesota to Jacksonville as one of the youngest coordinators in league history. But before we get there, a final thought on the Vikings. The division's crazy. I mean, you and I talked about this, I believe, last year when we did our division preview. We know how good the division is. This year, maybe even better, because people think Chicago is going to be pretty good. We know about Detroit. We know about Green Bay, obviously Minnesota. Where do you think the Vikings kind of fit in here in mid-June as we get ready for the 2025 campaign?
Yeah, we're sitting here talking about how good the roster is, but I think when we did our schedule pick, when they dropped the schedule, I think we came up with 10. Like that's how hard it is. And not only that, but the Vikings also have to play the NFC East. So you have to play the Super Bowl champs. You have to play Jaden Daniels. They've got Lamar Jackson on the schedule and Joe Burrow. I mean, it is a really, really challenging schedule. I think everybody here is probably looking at Detroit saying they're a little more vulnerable than they were because it's sort of funny, right? Ben Johnson was a great offensive coordinator who shredded the Vikings defense. He's the only guy who's had Brian Flores' number. Well, now he's in Chicago, but it's not exactly the same for the roster they had. I think losing Frank Ragnow to retirement is huge for Detroit. Green Bay did not, to me, take big steps forward in the offseason, but still a good team. Chicago really, truly is the wild card, because I think this division could send 3 teams to the playoffs again. But is Chicago actually going to take that step? Because the number of seasons where we've heard Chicago won the offseason, I mean, that clip of Aaron Rodgers saying it, I was like, yeah, it sounds like me on my show. I was talking about how Chicago always wins the offseason, but never the actual games. But they might actually have a competent coach now. So I think, man, it is fascinating. And it's like, okay, all 4 of these teams probably aren't going to be that great, but can you pick which one's going to fall off? I think it's really hard to do. If the Vikings are going to win this division, they are absolutely going to have to earn it.
Yeah, no doubt. Probably the best division in football heading in to 2025. Matthew, final question. We won't spend a lot of time on Nick Mullins or Johnny Munt, who came from Minnesota to Jacksonville. But I do want to ask you about Grant Udinski. 29, now I believe 30 years old, the ripe old age of 30 after a birthday, as the Jaguars' new offensive coordinator. Just your thoughts on Udinski, what he did in Minnesota, and what he'll bring here to Jacksonville.
Well, first of all, Johnny Munt is one of Kevin O'Connell's favorite players ever. So don't underrate Johnny Munt and what he can do for you. But no, Grant Udinski was a guy that I think what really tells you about him is how much Kevin O'Connell put on his plate at his age here and how much he trusted him in the development of J.J. McCarthy last year, and then in working so closely with Sam Darnold. I mean, it is unusual talking about that age to have such a big role and so much trust of the head coach. And I think that Kevin O'Connell was legitimately, obviously very happy for Grant Udinski, but it's really sad to see him go, knowing that they're developing J.J. McCarthy this summer. I think that says a lot about him. And really, you know how everybody wants the McVay hires. Well, I think that we're going to have the same thing here, where everyone's going to want the O'Connell hires, because he, I think, is really, really good at finding great communicators and people who fit within his culture and the way that he works with quarterbacks. So, the quarterback whisperer thing is a little bit of an eye roll, but it also it's a really intentional thing. I mean, it's a real plan from day one for Kevin O'Connell, even talking about this year, like taking it all down to the screws and building it back up. And I think that anybody who works with him in his process of coaching quarterbacks is going to have success in the NFL.
Matthew Coller, Purple Insider. Matthew, there's certainly a lot of NFC North fans down here. There's some Minnesota transplants in Northeast Florida. Where can Viking fans in our parts find your work?
Yeah, the YouTube page is growing. So over, just search Purple Insider over there. And then purpleinsider.football is where you can find the newsletter.
He's our guy in Minneapolis, Matthew Coller of Purple Insider. Matthew, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, man.
All right. Thanks very much.
1010XL.
We move forward starting right now. We start becoming a team right now.
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal. Pretty nice weather we're having, huh?
You think this is nice?
I mean, it's sunny, warm. We do live in Florida.
It's not all upside, Jason. Warm weather comes, so all the cool people hit the beach. My old air conditioner craps out, so it's 1,000 degrees inside, and I'm stuck on a video call in my underpants trying not to sweat through my...
Wait. Put these sunglasses on.
I'm not going to put on your...
Whoa. The air conditioning experts at Bueller Air & Plumbing can keep your home office cool and comfortable all summer long. You look good in your meeting, impress the big guy with your cool confidence, maybe finally make assistant deputy regional manager.
Wow, air conditioning can do that?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all summer worried the weather is going to be too nice, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
If you'd like to help support domestic violence victims, you can get involved in the Par for a Purpose golf tournament, hosted by Micah's Place at the Golf Club of Amelia Island on June 20th. Register and learn more at micahsplace.org/golf.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
If you're a dog lover who wants to help animals, our furry friends need exercise and time out of their kennels. You can make a difference in a dog's life at volunteer@jackshumane.org.
Military veterans have always protected us, and in Jacksonville, thousands of our veterans suffer from mental wounds like PTSD. Now it's time to return the favor. Learn how you can help at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
The calls have been pouring in.
It's the strongest phone connection on the First Coast. The Checkmate Coatings phone line covers you with expert interviews from around the country and your opinions and comments from here at home. All day, every day on 1010XL.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
June is Men's Health Month. Be proactive towards your prostate, ED, low T, even kidney stones with Ackerman Urology. Offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, the Beaches, and World Golf Village. Trust the men's health experts at AckermanUrology.com.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach, or visit apexroofingfl.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. One division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. And this week, it's all about the NFC North. We will make stops in Minneapolis, in Detroit, in Green Bay. Right now, it's all about the Chicago Bears, and they've had a very interesting offseason, just like we've had here in Jacksonville. A lot of player turnover, a brand new head coach. Let's talk about the Bears offseason with one of our guys up in Chicago. His name is Josh Buckhalter. Heavy.com is where you find his work, and Josh is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Josh, how we doing?
I'm well, man. Thanks for having me back. How are you?
Hey, Josh, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. All right, the Jaguars, to me, had one of the wildest off seasons in the NFL, but Chicago was right there. From the hiring of Ben Johnson to all the player acquisitions that have come in. We'll talk about all of it, but first and foremost, a mile-high view, Josh. How would you summarize the Bears off season in totality?
Active, and that can go any number of ways, but I think what that shows you is just how unsettled they were coming out of last season, despite having a lot of encouraging things to say going into it. So I guess if another word had to be picked, it would be telling as well.
You know, let's begin with the big story that happened right at the beginning of the offseason. That was, of course, Ben Johnson. A lot of talk about Ben Johnson here in Jacksonville. He ultimately goes to Chicago. The Jaguars end up with Liam Cohen. I personally think both teams are going to end up just fine in that regard. What about Ben Johnson, Josh? He's been on the job now for about 4 months or so. What have been your early impressions on the new Bears head coach?
His energy and his intensity. And when I say that, I don't mean he's out on the field screaming or yelling at anybody, but I think that his focus is very clear. You see that wherever he is on the field, he is very into what's going on. And then we hear the accounts from players talking about how the attention to detail, that level of communication to them has been way elevated this season compared to previous years. And I think that, like I said before, that's a very telling thing they have players say, but it's also very noticeable on the field.
Josh Buckhalter, Heavy.com, as our NFC North preview continues tonight with the Chicago Bears. Obviously, Ben Johnson's number one job is to get the most out of Caleb Williams. Josh, how would you summarize Caleb Williams' year number one, and what are your thoughts about his offseason so far?
I would say inconsistent, but I also think that Williams's final numbers and the win record especially was misleading, because I think there were I know there were a few games in which he led them to winning situations only for the defense to let them down or special teams to let them down. So I think that got lost in the discussion. But I think he's taking to the new coaching. He's always said that he's somebody that wants to be coached hard. He's getting that with his staff. And the early returns are good, but of course, there's no pads on right now, so we have to wait and see how that progresses. It's hard to be discouraged by anything that you've heard so far, though.
How much pressure is there on Caleb Williams because of what Jaden Daniels did in Washington last year?
I wouldn't say that there's pressure on him because of that. I think there was pressure on him anyway. He's the number one pick. I think that adds to it, but you can say that by any quarterback that performed better, which was several of them that were taken after him in last year's draft in totality. And again, I think part of why Williams' season was viewed as a disappointment is because of that expectation. When you break it down, and again, we're watching each and every one of those games, you will see that it wasn't maybe as bad as the final outcome looked.
You know, one of the stories that came out, I guess a month ago, maybe a little less, was that crazy story about Caleb Williams on draft night last year or leading up to the draft and maybe not wanting to go to Chicago and thinking about the whole United Football League. What was the reaction in Chicago about that? It seems to have died down now.
Curiosity. I think that there was not a question of whether or not Williams wanted to be in Chicago anymore after the beating that he took last year and how much he stood at that podium after every game, every press conference he was available for, and not only gave his accounts of what was going on, but also ended it with his quote, the Bears. So that part wasn't really the issue. It was really, how did those things come about? What depths did they really go? And where are you now? And I think that he answered a lot of those questions, even though they waited to make him available. He answered those questions up front and was honest. And in his, defense, a lot of the concerns were justified. And you can say that beforehand. You can say that certainly after the season that played out.
Josh Buckhalter, Heavy.com, covering the Chicago Bears. You know, I asked you about Caleb Williams based on what Jaden Daniels did last year. Well, Rome Odunze is kind of in the same boat. Now, he was good at times, but for a top 10 pick, when you look at what a guy here and Brian Thomas Jr. did, who was picked 23rd, what Ladd McConkey did in L.A., who was a second-round pick, how much pressure is there on Odunze to live up to that top 10 draft pick?
There's pressure. Again, as that top 10 draft pick, I do think that he gets not a pass, but there's an understanding that he was maybe not used as best as he could, as a lot of the players in that team can say. But he was kind of pigeonholed into a role as the third option behind not only DJ Moore, but also an aging Keenan Allen, who's no longer with the team, allowing Odunze to take a step forward. And I forecast a big year for him, just if not because just that, but also the growing rapport with Williams. Odunze has the talent, and I think you're going to see them display this year. I think that the Johnson staff will put him in advantageous positions more often than not.
You mentioned DJ Moore, Rome Odunze are obviously the two biggest weapons. How would you assess the rest of the skill position around Caleb Williams heading into the year?
Talented, but still with question marks. I think that at this point we know what tight end Cole Kmet is. He's a big, physical target who can make some things happen. But he can also disappear at times, and that could be sometimes maybe on him, sometimes maybe on the QB, the scheme, whatever. Moore is proven, but beyond that, there's a lot of uncertainty because Odunze is not very proven at this level, because your rookie tight end has not seen the field in the offseason program yet, because your running back had a bad year and is now playing for the coach who was part of the organization that traded him the first time. So it's just a lot of question marks, even though on paper they are undoubtedly talented.
You mentioned the defense letting Chicago down last year. We all remember the Hail Mary against Washington, just one of those examples. What did they do this offseason, Josh, to fix the defense?
Well, first and foremost, you have a guy in Dennis Allen who, like the head coach in Ben Johnson, is a stickler for the details. And not only that, but there is some more physicality being brought to the defense and variety. And I think that at times, while the Bears had shown that they could be a top unit when they were all dialed in and everything was working, there was also no change up to that. And I think that you'll see the change up be what helps this defense sustain the effectiveness that it can have when it's performing at its top level.
I want to talk about the division as a whole in a moment, but it's a daunting task to be in this division. I mean, you see what Detroit is, Green Bay, Minnesota. I mean, what are the expectations in Chicago? Do they feel they can compete for this division, or at least a wild card opportunity?
Media-wise, I think that there is a show me first. We've all had the experience of winning the offseason, seeing things look promising in shorts and T-shirts, and even maybe into training camp, but then watching this team get punched in the mouth when the season rolls around. So I think there's some hesitant optimism. Again, there's noticeable differences between this staff and the last staff, but I don't know if there's anybody getting too far ahead as to what this team can do once the games count.
You talk about the NFC North as a whole. I've talked to a lot of people around the division this week. The vibe I get is Detroit's division, but maybe they took a little bit of a step down. Green Bay probably as good as they were last year, maybe a little better. A lot of uncertainty with Minnesota, good team, but how is J.J. McCarthy? And then maybe the biggest question mark is Chicago and just how quickly can Ben Johnson get things going there. I mean, how do you assess the NFC North right now?
Yeah, I think you're right. Early on, it's probably going to look more like a crapshoot than maybe it will towards the end of the season, just because there is a lot of changing parts in three of the four teams in the North. You will probably see the most consistency out of Green Bay, and I think that if they have a healthy Jordan Love, maybe they are probably closer towards the top than many might project going into the year. Detroit, I do expect them to take a step back, not necessarily fall off the cliff step back, but it's going to be hard to replace both of your coordinators as well as personnel from the season and things like that. So that's always something I have to overcome. The Vikings are breaking in a new quarterback. That system, though, is proven. We've seen it work with backups. The Pasternak comes to mind. So I'm not going to say that they're going to fall off either. I think the Bears are going to still be trying to battle for maybe a second or a third even spot. I don't think they'll be a cellar dweller, but I think they're going to have to fight and actually perform up to expectations to keep from being there just by default because of how talented the division still is.
Well, and the absolutely crazy thing is just the way the schedule fell this year. I believe the NFC North plays the AFC North. So not only do you have to play Green Bay twice, Minnesota twice, Detroit twice, you got to play Baltimore, you got to play Cincinnati. I want to even say the NFC East is on that schedule too. So Philadelphia, Washington. I mean, that's an insane schedule for every team in that division.
It's tough, and I think that you're gonna have to win your divisional games, and that's true every year. But I think when you have a daunting task, like you said, the NFC East and some of the teams in the North, not everybody is going to be a challenge, but there's going to be some challenges there, especially when there's not that familiarity level. It's going to be imperative that you capitalize when you can in the division, because that's what's going to ultimately define if you're going to make it to the playoffs or not.
Final moments, Josh Buckhalter, Heavy.com. Not only does Josh cover the Bears and the NFL for Heavy.com, he's also one of their main NBA guys. Josh, I got to ask you, with the finals going on, Pacers and Thunder, series has been good to this point. We're not going to have a sweep, obviously. What's your thought on the series now that it's a best of 5?
Great basketball. I think the Pacers getting that win in game 1 was perfect for the series because it kept you interested instead of giving you what many expect, which was a Thunder win. I still expect the Thunder to come out victorious in the series. I do think the Pacers will get another game, but we just see how when the Thunder are dialed in, there's really not much another team can do.
Obviously the Joker, LeBron and them go without saying, but talk about the next stars, the Joker, Luka, we know about those guys. There are 2 players in this series that I think might join that mantle with a win, and that's obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Halliburton. As a guy that covers the league, I mean, what an opportunity for SGA and for Halliburton on this stage.
And I'm not sure that you'll get that for Halliburton just yet, and not because he wouldn't deserve, but because we see that the NBA is maybe one of the slower leagues to recognize player status and changes in that status. SGA, we've seen him kind of go from being included in that Paul George trade, right, as the base salary-wise, but I don't think anybody forecasted this for him. And then to see him lead this team, be a two-way star, win the MVP award, I think if this championship will cement him as one of those top-end players in those discussions.
Final question. I was on a cruise ship last week. When we got into one of the ports of call, I could finally turn my phone on. And when I saw that Tom Thibodeau got fired, I was borderline stunned. Now, I get losing in the Eastern Finals as a favorite is upsetting, but my goodness, I did not see that coming. What was your reaction to Tibbs getting fired in New York?
I think it's the grass isn't always greener, right? Tibbs has been fired before, so that part itself does not surprise me. We know that he can wear on players, organizations. That's not out of the norm. What is surprising, though, is to come off your best season in a quarter century and then decide that, that's the change that needed to be made instead of even trying to reach a compromise, which may have never come. But you can't deny the success that you had. And so thinking that you're just going to naturally, progress beyond that because you changed the voice that got you there, to me, seems rather short-sighted and impulsive.
I thought it was wild. Absolutely thought it was crazy. And final NBA question. Look, that calendar never stops, Josh. I mean, the finals are going on right now. Heck, the draft is in a couple of weeks, right? We know Cooper Flagg is going to go number 1, probably to Dallas, unless they pull off another shocking trade. Anything else we need to be on the lookout for as far as player movement, Giannis, any potential trades that might come before the draft night situation?
I don't see Giannis moving. He seems like a guy that has to demand it, and I don't know that he necessarily wants to demand that right now. You can always have the surprising Bucks decide that they're ready to go full rebuild and do something, but I just know that in the NBA, it's hard to come by superstars of that caliber, so you don't move them unless you absolutely have to. Other teams, we've heard a lot about Charlotte moving around. Brooklyn could be looking to do something, but I do think that if you're going for an option that you want to keep your eyes on after Cooper Flagg, I am really high on Ace Bailey. I know that's not, a reach or anything. He's supposed to be a top 5 pick at the worst. I just feel like for today's game, the wing player with the ability to handle the ball and get his own bucket and has that two-way capability, I think is something that you have to keep an eye on and monitor and covet if you don't already have that on your roster.
And maybe I'm being a homer here. The Magic have picks 16 and 25. Josh, if Walter Clayton's there, they got to take him with one of those picks, do they not?
Unquestionably. We've talked about them needing the lead guard for years now, and the fact that it would be a guy from their own backyard, I think, is something that you can't look over.
I mean, Weltman's is already kind of on a hot seat. If he passes on Walter Clayton, people down here are not going to like that, no question about it. We always like Josh Buckhalter, Heavy.com. He's our guy in Chicago when it comes to the Bears. He also does a great job covering the NBA there for Heavy.com. Josh, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it, man. Anytime.
The beach is calling, and she must go. Lauren Brooks.
Okay, that's not creepy.
On Helmets and Heels from noon to 2
Can you just back up a little bit?
on 1010XL.
I'm not a bikini waxer.
AC Hotline, how can I help?
Help! Our AC isn't working, and my husband's pouring ice cubes down his pants.
Wow, okay, well, we can help with the AC issue.
Please. I'm afraid he's going to damage something.
Okay, I'm going to connect you with the Duck.
The doc?
No, the Duck. Duck Air Conditioning. Jacksonville area's AC experts.
Okay, tell them to hurry.
Beat the Florida heat with Duck Air Conditioning. Service, repairs, new installations, commercial or residential. Trust the Duck. DuckAC.com.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
The SEC and the ACC will face off in Jacksonville at the 81st TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game December 27th at 7:30 p.m. Join us for Saturday Night Football in prime time at the bank. Preferred locations and pricing available now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with ONE+. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Join me, Max Fink, as I keep a close eye on everything that happens in Gator Nation.
The Gator Report, polished up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
Denny Thompson here. You gotta check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I can stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming, Iowa.
Hey, Hicken here, and you know I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on. Temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the screen, sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Peaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at peachesdermatology.com.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. As temperatures warm up around us, ants come out in droves. And when they move into your home or business, it's unnerving. Terminix knows that ants add up fast, but Terminix subtracts them faster because living with ants isn't any fun. When ants show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with an ant problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a slip and slide gone wrong? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Hey, Hicken here for my friends at Zero Res. They want to help you clean your home or business. Big summer savings with 3 rooms clean starting at $129 and 20% off your air duct cleaning. Call them 904-287-5727 and ask for the 1010XL special.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
And thank you to Josh Buckhalter, who covers the Chicago Bears for Clocker Sports. You also check out his work there at Heavy.com, covering NFL and NBA topics at large, as our NFC North preview wraps up tonight with the Chicago Bears. Chicago had about as eventful an offseason as Jacksonville did, right? Ben Johnson, the new head coach, a lot of new personnel there in Chicago to try to help Caleb Williams. It's a tough putt in that division, though, when you got to play the Lions twice, you got to play the Vikings twice, and you got to play the Packers twice. But we'll see how much ground Chicago has made up here in one off season. So we certainly spent some time on that. But as you can imagine, by and large, it was mostly Jaguar-related material, as Jaguar minicamp ongoing down at the Miller Electric Center. We were down there earlier today, along with a lot of you. I'd say well over 2,000, 2,500 fans showed up this morning down at the Miller Electric Center. It was standing room only there in the crowd, as I know you guys are fired up to see the Jaguars. They'll have practice again tomorrow, and that's it for the offseason. They will then take about 5 weeks off or so, come back towards the last week of July, and they will kick off training camp, and we will get ready to kick off the 2025 season. Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Josh Buckhalter, Clocker Sports, and Heavy.com for talking about the Chicago Bears and a little NBA Finals with us. Thank you to Matthew Cower, Purple Insider. He's my guy up in Minneapolis to talk about the Vikings. Again, one division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. And this week it was the NFC North. We made stops in Detroit, in Chicago, in Green Bay, and in Minneapolis. And we certainly appreciate all of our guys from around the country for joining us. Thank you to Zach Hanshu of Roto World covering the NBA, talking a little NBA Finals, Game 3 ongoing right now between the Pacers and the Thunder. But we also spent some time on the NBA Draft and big topic trade off-season stories that could materialize coming up here in the summer months. And thank you to the Jaguars PR staff. Wyatt Milam, the rookie offensive lineman from West Virginia, was our one-on-one today. Here on Hacker After Dark, we also gave you a replay of Fred Johnson, who I had a chance to talk to after yesterday's practice. And as always, we certainly thank the Jaguars PR staff for helping us out, get those interviews to you here on Hacker After Dark. Our final show of the week, we are off to Las Vegas, my wife and I, Kenny Chesney at the Sphere. Yeah, looking forward to that. I will rejoin you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I will be back on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week, and we will be in Baloo's time slot, as Baloo will take some time off. I'll be 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock next Tuesday through Friday, and we do hope that you join us then. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on